Hey, friends. Welcome to Becoming the Future That You're Creating. So, today I'm going to give you a powerful way to shift your limiting beliefs, to rewire your nervous system, and to upgrade your identity all in one. The big idea behind this training is that sovereignty and the reality you desire is built through self trust, self commitment, self belief, and essentially having your own back 100%, committing to yourself. And you do that by choosing a specific action that you commit to. So essentially, the more you show up for yourself, the more you keep your word to yourself, the more you do what makes you come alive and you make that a priority, the more that sense of self-trust, of self-belief, of self-worth and sovereignty expands and builds on itself. And when that happens, when you've got the self-trust and the self-worth and the self-belief that compounds on itself, it leads to self-mastery and having the capacity to create the reality that you desire without sacrifice, without sabotage, without having to work really hard for it. So today I'm going to take you through an expansion experiment. And this experiment is going to essentially 10x your sense of self-trust and allow you to embody a new version of you, a future version of you, a bigger version of you, and step into the reality that you desire. Before I get into it, I want to take a minute to introduce myself. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. I'm Ilsa. By the way, say hi to me. Let me know what's resonating or coming up for you during this training. I always love to hear these comments. Personally, I'm a total spiritual nerd. I'm a bookworm. I'm an introvert bordering on hermit, and I'm a nature lover. I live a really quiet, deeply satisfying life in Boulder, Colorado with my husband and our 2 dogs. Professionally, for the last 22 plus years, I've worked with hundreds, maybe even thousands of clients as a psychotherapist, a healer, an expansion expert, and a strategist. I marry nervous system and brain rewiring work with energy, identity, and strategy to help leaders, visionaries, business owners tame any kind of internal and external chaos, dissolve whatever resistance they have to growth and success, and rewire themselves, their lives, their businesses for easeful growth, for consistent results, for exciting new levels of personal and financial freedom. So if you're looking for more ease, more joy, more abundance in your life, in your business, then you're in the right place. And if you want to go deeper and further, please check out the description of this training. I've got a couple different options for you, some paid, some free. Okay, let's get started. So most of us are really good at keeping our word with other people. But what really defines self-leadership and your ability to trust yourself, to believe in yourself, to feel your own sense of self-worth is actually the degree to which you keep your own word to yourself. And the more you build, for a lot of us, especially if you're a woman, you were conditioned to put everybody else above yourself. And so keeping your word to yourself is not something that you're taught. It's actually something that most of us are conditioned to feel is selfish. And so we don't do it. Keeping our word to others is significantly more important. But when you start to keep your word to yourself, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient, even when you don't feel like it, that's when you start to embody and anchor in the version of you that you aspire to be. There is something in that movement of making you and keeping your words to you a priority that essentially builds on itself and starts to really anchor a sense of self-worth, self-trust, and self-belief. So how do we do that? How do we anchor that self-trust, that self-belief? How do we not break our word to ourselves and start to practice and expand that capacity? The way to do it, and this is the expansion experiment, is you choose 1 to 2 simple actions that are in alignment with the biggest version of you and the most expanded life you can think of. And you commit to that 1 or 2 action no matter what. And what I always tell people is pick something simple and sustainable. One of the ways that we sabotage ourselves and essentially abandon ourselves is by trying to pick changes or habits that are too hard. And because they're too hard, we literally set ourselves up for failure. And so when you pick that specific action that's in alignment with the bigger you, the bigger life, and you commit to it, you're essentially anchoring in the knowing that who you desire to be and the life and business that you desire to have is available now. You start to collapse space and time between where you're at and where you want to be. And you start to really root in the knowing that this version of you is not in the future. You see how even I say this future you, which when we say something like that, it actually pushes it in the future. No, this sovereign you is available now. This grander, more nourishing and fulfilling life is actually available now. Both live within you and within this moment. So when you make that action an unwavering priority and you commit to it, it starts to create a bridge to a reminder of an embodiment pathway to the reality you want. This action literally become a collapser of time and space between who you are and who you want to be and where you are and where you want to be. It's the bridge between the two. And when you're committing to these actions, every time you take this action, like it actually becomes evidence that you are already that version of you that you aspire to be. So one of the things that's important for us to understand is that your circumstance doesn't define you. Your results don't define you. Your thoughts, your feelings, your moods, your states don't define you. All of those things are temporary. They're continuously changing. You can have a good day, you can have a bad day. You can have create a bunch of results one day and then for, a month it's crickets. None of those things matter because they're not constants, but you are the constant of your life. Who you decide you are and the actions that you take from this place of commitment that are essentially aligning with the life you want to have, that is what defines you. So what do I mean by actions? This aligned action could be breaking an old habit that is essentially not in resonance, not in frequency with who you are becoming and the future you are creating, like biting your nails or I don't know, maybe eating ice cream at the end of the day before you go to sleep or something like that. Like essentially, it could be breaking a habit that creates interference between you and the life you want. And what happens is when you essentially pick a habit that doesn't align that you want to break, then you start to work consistently and relentlessly on it until you break that habit to the degree where you don't even consider it anymore. It's no longer part of your identity or your reality. And at which point you literally have become a new person living in a new world. So that's one way that we can choose our action. The other is your action could be something that you decide on and you claim and you start to include in your day-to-day life that is in total alignment with that new reality, that upgraded version of you that you are aspiring to. And so that could be like making your bed every morning or journaling every morning. What happens is that when you do that action, it helps you anchor that sense of self-trust, that sense of self-mastery and sovereignty, and it literally links you to the reality that you want. But here's the truth. Here's the kicker. The action itself is a lot less important than your commitment to honor it no matter what. So maybe the action you choose is to exercise 4 days a week, or to cut out like most sugar from your diet, or to fast 1 day a week, or to meditate every morning without fail. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that once you set the action, that you fully commit to it and you don't allow like petty circumstances to pull you off kilter and to help you forget to do it. And it is that commitment. It is your ability to not let yourself down, to not allow external people and external circumstance to literally rob you of your time and your energy to do that action. It is all of that that builds self-trust, a sense of self-worth, a sense of self-belief, and self-leadership that over time will turn into an unwavering sense of empowerment, sovereignty, and finally self-mastery. So when you do that and you're compounding this sense of self-belief and self-trust, it will literally start to ripple and expand in every area of your life. It will change how you see yourself, how you show up in all ways, in every area of your life. It will have a positive effect on your health, on your energy, on your intimate relationships. It will have a positive effect in your business and your leadership in business, and it will have a positive effect in your ability to create wealth. And sometimes we don't quite understand how that works. How is it that taking a walk every day, or making my bed, or exercising every night for 15 minutes, how is that going to benefit my business? Or how is journaling every day going to benefit my health? And yet it does. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. You, my friend, are the common denominator of your life. If you grow, if you build more trust, more self-belief, more self-worth, that growth, that trust, that belief, that self-worth starts to ripple in every area and change and shift and affect every area, from your biochemistry to literally how people see you and how they interact with you. So let's choose your aligned action. And you might want a pen and paper or a journal and pen for this. You don't need it. You can do it with me and then journal after if you want. But for a moment, I want to invite you to imagine a version of you aspire to be. And this upgraded you has a lot of the life that you desire. And this version of you moves through life in a way that, as you see it right now, as you feel into it, inspires you and enlivens you. I essentially want you to take a moment to imagine a version of you and a life that you are really proud of. And you can imagine that it's in like a year from now. You can also imagine that it's literally another reality, like a parallel reality where you are living that life and doing those things and moving and being in that way. And so as you're feeling into and imagining yourself in that life, I want to ask you essentially 2-3 questions. The first question is, what are some of the habits, the behaviors, the way of being that this version of you is no longer tolerating in themselves or no longer participating in? What are some of the things that this version of you just doesn't do that you do? What are some of the ways of thinking, of behaving, of moving through the world that this version of you does not do, does not cultivate, does not participate in? And so I'm just going to give you like a few seconds to feel into it, to see if anything comes up for you. And if you're watching the replay, you can feel free to pause if you need more time too. What are the habits that this version of you has broken? Now, flip side to this question, what are some of the actions, the habits, the activities, the ways of being, the behaviors that this version of you has actually cultivated? Things that they do on a regular basis that are part of helping them be who they are and sustaining the life they have built. So when you see this version of you, see that life, what are some of the ways of being, the activities, the behaviors that they have actively cultivated and that they participate in on a regular basis to sustain them and to sustain the life they have built? Maybe things that you're not doing on a regular basis. Maybe ways of being or thinking or moving that you're not participating right now. And again, I'm going to give you a few seconds to just think about it, play with it. And so last question, which is kind of like the first two put in one. But when you imagine this upgraded version of you with this upgraded life that you aspire to be, a life that you're proud of, that you delight in, how does this version of you move through his or her daily life? And part of what I want to invite you to do is to make a list. Like, what are some of the habits or ways of thinking or ways of moving and behaving that they no longer participate in? And what are some of the ways of being, moving, behaving, thinking, acting that they are actively doing on a regular basis? And I want you to just make a list. And once you have that list, I want to invite you to pick one or two of the things you see on this list and commit to doing it. And let it be simple. And the way you're going to do this, you can either commit to it for a month or 90 days, or you can commit to it for in under whatever time you want, like maybe even no time, like you don't put an end to it, but you essentially is committing to it until you consciously end it or replace it with something else. And essentially what you're going to do is once you've picked your one action, either your one habit you're going to break or your one habit you're going to cultivate, then you're essentially going to make a contract with yourself to honor this and to make it literally more important than just about anything else in your life. So I did this exercise maybe 60 or 90 days ago. And what I picked was going for a walk every day. Rain or shine, like, doesn't really matter, hot or cold, like, every day I'm going for a walk. And I don't have a time frame on it. I'm going to do this until I consciously decide to end it and do something else. But in the last, I'm not even sure when I started, but in the last maybe 80 days or so that I've been doing this, I've missed twice. Once when I was sick and it was kind of cold and snowy outside. And so I decided that for my own health, I was just going to stay in bed. And then the second time is I was sitting on the deathbed of someone I love, and I stayed with them until they passed. And the day essentially flew, and I missed my walk that day, and that was okay for me. So you can see that this isn't like I got tired and so I didn't do it. There's actually been a couple occasions where I had a lot of clients and I had a really busy day, and I went for a walk at 9 o'clock at night or 8:30 at night before going to bed. So the commitment is I do not go to bed without taking my walk, even if it's for 10, 15 minutes. Most of the time, my walks are about 40 minutes, half hour, sometimes an hour. But there is plenty of time because of my day that they're only 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and that can be okay. The aim is I go for a walk, no matter what, unless there's a real good reason for it. So that's the invitation. You pick something, you make it somewhat easy for yourself. Like, I didn't say I have to go for an hour-long walk every day. I just said I have to go for a walk every day. That could be a walk around the block. And so you commit to that activity, and outside of some really, really good reason, you don't allow yourself to skip it. This promise to yourself that you're going to do this no matter what, you're going to make it a top priority, is essentially you saying to yourself, you are a priority. This is how the self-trust, the self-worth, the self-belief starts to build. And so my invitation to you is pick something, pick at least a month, make it a priority. If you fall off the horse, get back on the horse. Like, if you skip a day or two, recommit and get back to it and recommit to a month. And then notice how it starts to change how you experience yourself and your life. And just know that breaking that promise with yourself is how you erode your own self-trust, your own sovereignty. Bringing your word to yourself is one of the main ways that you essentially will start to leak and siphon your own power. It is how you erode your belief in yourself and your sense of self-worth. And it is how all of us start to doubt ourselves and anchor in self-doubt, essentially. When you decide on your one activity that you're going to honor, you're going to align to, so that you can connect to that bigger version of you, that bigger vision of your future, of your life that you want, and you honor that and you live that, you are essentially building evidence that you are indeed this bigger version of you. You are anchoring. Every time you take that action, you are anchoring this new identity, and by extension, this new reality. But not only are you anchoring this new identity and this new reality, you essentially are dissolving the old one. So every time you take that action, you are building the muscle of the version of you want to be and the reality you want to live, and you are starting to dissolve the one that is meant for the past. We can change our wiring and our reality through practices. My programs, the work I do with clients, has tons of practices. We can journal our way there. We can do nervous system work, which I obviously do. But honestly, action is the fastest way to truly embody a new identity and reality. Action is what allows you to build that trust. It's what allows you to collapse time and space between where you are and where you want to be. Action is what allows you to see the evidence and the proof that you are already sovereign, that this reality is already potentially here and available to you now. It's what allows you to anchor a new way of being and moving through the world and to start to erase the old one. So have fun with it. That's your expansion experiment. And if you want more support with embodying this new version of you and rewiring your nervous system, your brain, your body for this bigger reality, you want to turn what feels impossible now into the inevitable, then I would love to work with you. And there's a couple ways to start that. One way is if you're ready to dive deep, you know I'm the person for you, then you and I can get on a 30-minute enrollment call. And basically in that 30, 45 minutes, we're going to have a chat. It's totally free. I'm going to figure out exactly what's going on with you. What is it that you want to accomplish? We're going to pick the best package for you based on your goals, based on your budget, based on how you like to learn and what you need to essentially create the results you want. And then we're going to kind of create a little bit of a roadmap on how we're going to work together, and we're going to set up our first session. Or if you're not quite ready to jump into that level and you want to experiment with working with me, you want to get a felt sense of that, I offer a 90-minute one-on-one intensive that is at a significant saving for people who are new to my work. And that's 90 minutes one-on-one. We're going to dive deep. We're going to do a lot of work. I'm going to figure out what are some of your nervous system contractions that are getting in your way. And then I'm going to walk you step by step through one of the most powerful processes or protocol that I actually created that helps you release contraction, unlock your nervous system and the genius that's held there, and start to anchor you in expansion. And this is a process that you can use for the rest of your life every time you feel stuck, every time you feel overwhelmed. So even if you and I never work together past that 90 minutes, you will walk away with something that's going to change your life and that you'll be able to use for the rest of your life. So if you're interested in checking out these two opportunities, they're in the description of this video. All right, have a wonderful rest of your week and weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.